Hey there, it's Chris Feifel, your Darwin Perennials product representative, and I'm excited. It's 10:30 on Tuesday. My box from Darwin, Colombia arrived today. And so we're going to be propagating our new Monarda Be Mine Red. This is our 22 introduction. It's a complement to our Monarda Balmy that we've had for a little while. So as I unpackage my box here, I'm going to remove my insulation. I'm going to use my handy dandy infrared thermometer here to double check my temperature to make sure I'm not too hot or too cold. 48 degrees, that looks good to me. Everything in this box should be good to go. As I unpackage these, I've got my Monarda Be Mine Red right here. I love how the label is right here on the front, so it's very easily recognizable within the box. As I unpackage my cuttings, I want to be aware of any excess moisture on the inside of the package. That's why we include the paper to absorb that. Extra water on those leaves can tend to lead to issues in shipping, but these feel pretty dry. But there's a balance of that dryness there. For one thing, we don't want to be opening this box out in the greenhouse. We're here in the head house where we have higher humidity, low airflow, and we don't have any bright sunshine that's going to dehydrate these even more. But I look at the cuttings, those look pretty good. I don't see those leaves really folding downwards with a lot of dehydration. Another thing I want to be aware of with the Monarda is they can have issues with spider mites. And so I'm going to inspect these with my hand lens to make sure we don't have any signs of spider mites. I'm also going to look for any premature budding, which is a bad thing in these, and these look like they're good to go, and I think they're going to propagate well for us. I'm ready to stick my Monardas now. My tray is filled. I prefer loose fill media. This way I'm not getting some of that compaction that we can get with an Ellie plug. And I have my pH adjusted to right around 6.2. Most Monardas do prefer a slightly higher pH. I have two options for a rooting hormone on these. I can use either my traditional powdered rooting hormone, 1,000 parts per million as a basal dip here, or I can use the Horticulture IBA salts. I can mix this up in a hand sprayer or in a concentrate and apply it with a dosatron. I do like this is because after I stick my entire box of cuttings, I can come back after the fact and apply rooting hormone to the entire crop all at once. It makes things a lot more efficient, especially in the springtime. Also, after I stick my cuttings, I do prefer to apply Pageant at a rate of 6 to 8 ounces per 100 gallons within 48 hours of sticking. It does help with any potential leaf spots or anything like that we might see, but it is also a stress reducer, and it's great for stress management and propagation. These I've already inspected for spider mites. I've already inspected them for any premature budding, and so these are going to stick pretty straightforward. I do really like the size of these cuttings as well. If we get too big and too leafy on a Monarda, that can tend to cause some issues in propagation. Here's the Monarda Be Mine Red, 2 weeks after propagation. We stuck the cuttings, brought them to the prop house with bottom heats, and Monarda do prefer long day lighting, so we did day extension on these to really help facilitate the growth and the rooting. Key factor about Monardas, you're going to hear me say this over and over, watch the media moisture. If these stay too wet, they're just going to build up callus, they're not going to die, and they're not going to send out roots. They're just going to take up your propagation space for a long time. So get that media dried out. And again, do not keep the foliage too wet. Monardas having that soft leaf can tend to be susceptible to botrytis. And so additional fungicide sprays underneath propagation is not a bad idea. Just be aware that they can be susceptible. So from that standpoint, we want to have very toned growth on Monardas. We can't have wild soft growth that 20-10-20 will give us. We want a CalMag fertilizer on these. And as they are starting to grow up, this is really not a bad stage, maybe a little bit taller than this, to give them that soft pinch. To start encouraging that branching early, we can pinch these a second time before they get transplanted into the finished container also.